Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. Guess what? We are back live, full-fledged. We're in town again. No longer a pledge drive, so we are here taking calls. Remember, this is KPFT 90.1 FM, Pacifica Radio. Remember to give us a call. 713-526-5738 is the number. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Shannon, how art thou doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. Happy to be here with you, as always.
Hey,
just
listen.
a little under the weather, but I'm so happy to be here.
But, like I told you, under the weather is never an excuse for having a good show because you are a great engineer.
Thank you.
But folks, today we are going to have some great topics. Actually, the topic is going to be the Democratic debate, of course, and we're going to also talk a little bit about democratic socialism. I don't know if you got to the blog post yet. I hope you have, because it is going to be covering some important issues. Very, very important issues. Folks, Tuesday night, America got to see the big contrast between our political parties. One is a serious party attempting to move America forward, while the other is a caricature of a failed politics, in the opinion of many. But today I want to discuss what we learned. Much of what we learned was not covered in the mainstream media. Much of what we learned will be soon forgotten because the corporately controlled media wants you to forget about it. But independent media won't. Independent media from now till the 2016 election and beyond will keep the proper narrative present. Independent media will ensure. What will independent media ensure? Independent media will ensure that the right questions are asked of the candidates. Independent media will ensure that the populace is informed and not told how or what to think before we get to the blog of the week. I want to thank the many contributors who contributed to KPFT 90.1 FM on behalf of Politics Done Right. Thank you very much, folks. While this program and many other programs exceeded their goals, many, because of various factors out of their control, did not. As such, and I want you to listen to this before we get into the blog of the week. As such, we were short of our goal by $70,000. And in order to ensure that we don't have to break in right before the holidays and right after the holidays for another pledge drive, please remember that you guys can continue to go to kpft.org and keep us solvent. So don't forget, let's do it, folks. Let's keep this station on. I want to give a huge thank you to Charles Haley, a returning member from Friendswood, Texas, for his very gracious pledge on the KPFT website. Charles said, "I've given up on NPR as a news source as they have moved to big funders to keep their programs running. As a community radio, folks, we cherish our donors like Charles, who see the power of people ensuring they are informed by people and not the corporate dictate." Folks, this is KPFT 90.1 FM in Houston, Texas. We want your thoughts. We want you to call in. We want to have you tell us what you think about all the things that we're going to discuss here, because, as you know, this is your station. Let's talk. I will also be following our hashtags pound, meaning hashtag politics done right, on Twitter at Egberto Willies. So listen to the live stream, or from just go to the top of the blog and click on it. Or if by the way, we're also right now on Periscope on Twitter, Egberto Willies. So hi, Periscope users. I see that I have quite a few of you on right now. we're still working on that particular issue of getting the callers that call in to also be heard by you guys. For now, you won't, but I'll always make sure that you're informed as far as what we're going, our Periscope users. And anyhow, folks, do remember this is a call-in show. The number is 713-526-5738. But let's get to the blog of the week.
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, folks, here we go. The first Democratic debate of 2016 was very informative in contrast to the reality shows masquerading as Republican debates. You know, much was learned from the Democratic debate. Firstly, the cast of characters running in Democratic side is a serious bunch. It is a sharp contrast from the clown car represented by the Republican cast. And I have to say that. It was a clown cart. Any real progressive or liberal should have no problem voting for any one of 4 or 5 candidates on stage. I mean, you guys can pick eeny, miny, miny, mo. But again, you know, when we talk about Brother Webb, Jim Webb may be in the wrong party. So based on the visible discomfort he showed toward a whole lot of progressive politics. So that may be a bit of a stretch, but hey, who knows? Look. There are 5 big takeaways from the big 2016 debate. They should be heeded. Here it goes. The American corporatocracy is scared of Bernie Sanders. That's a fact. By all empirical measures, Bernie Sanders won the debate. He won it on Twitter. He won it on polls on most of the TV websites and on the blog sites. And immediately after the debate, there were no scientific polls. There were just reactions from control audiences on Fox and CNN. Sanders won them both. So why was there a blanket acceptance by the national punditry that Sanders won? Why were they all talking in unison? They had to. Sanders held his own and immediately became plausible in millions. He immediately became plausible, right? To millions who had no clue who he is or what he represents. The Democratic Party is no longer, number 2, the Democratic Party is no longer in the throngs of the DLC. I know you guys know what the DLC is. If you don't, just check it out because I have a link to the DLC to let you understand what that's all about. It's the Democratic Party on the stage at the Democratic debate was not a centrist party. It was not a center-left party. It was a populist party. Even Hillary Clinton did her best to dispel their infatuation with pleading guilty for being moderate and centered, as she boldly claimed she is a progressive. The Democratic candidates are a serious bunch, folks. That's number 3. Remember I said there were 5 big takeaways. Number 3, the Democratic candidates are a serious bunch. There was a lot of substantive issues discussed at the Democratic debate. Some that are important but that generally aren't discussed. Listen to this. Glass-Steagall, banking, healthcare, and much more actually took center stage. Of course, silliness had to be inserted somewhere. Who did that? You know who did that. The traditional mainstream media did its job in showing their shallow disregard and lack of seriousness. Number 4, folks. Americans are very interested in what Democrats have to say. Many expected a lackluster viewership of the Democratic debate. Why? Many accepted the narrative that the outcome is a foregone conclusion. Hillary Clinton will be coronated the Democratic nominee, many said. The punditry led by the pronouncement of the darling Donald Trump were proven wrong. North of 15 million Americans tuned in. That is the highest viewership of any Democratic primary debate ever. It is true that it did not match the Republican debate. It is understood that the Republican debate would have gotten entertainment type numbers given its clown cart nature. Democrats are very satisfied with President Obama. That's number 5. Democrats are very satisfied with President Obama's path for the country. there was not one policy critique of President Obama. In fact, every candidate tried their best to be as close to him as possible. Better, however, was that they all wanted to expand on its policies for healthcare, from healthcare to immigration to education assistance and more. The debate was a big win for the Democratic Party. The debate was a big win for Black Lives Matter. The debate was a big win for college students. The debate was a big win for our Social Security and Medicare systems. The debate was a big win for healthcare. Why? Because of all these issues were brought up in some tepid checklist but it was full-throated support. I need to repeat that because this is the reason why I said, because all of these issues were brought up not in some tepid checklist form, but in a full-throated support. The populist economic message Bernie Sanders has been expounding for decades has gone mainstream. The social justice message Black Streams Matter forced into the Democratic Party's lexicon has gone mainstream. Even as Hillary Clinton went out of her way to make the glory, glory, hallelujah statement, stating that we are not Denmark, she virtually has endorsed democratic socialism, even if not by name. She calls it protecting capitalism from itself, as she supports most of Bernie Sanders' populist agenda in some less drastic form. Lawrence O'Donnell had an interesting and important factoid on a recent The Last Word, and it goes this way. Democratic Socialist Denmark had more business freedom than America. And there will be a list of issues to demonstrate why on the website. I hadn't gotten that. That's why it's a bit late on that particular issue. So, what does all of this mean? Just like Obamacare is the bridge, whether some believe it or not, to single-payer health care, Medicare for all, so will the Democratic Party's new embrace of populism be the bridge to America's form of democratic socialism. Don't be scared, folks, because believe it or not, that's what we are looking at in a very American way. So that is our blog of the week. Remember, folks, this is KPFT 90.1 FM in Houston, Texas, Pacifica Radio. And of course, you can reach us throughout the country, throughout the world on kpft.org. You can always go to the show's website at politicsdoneright.com. Okay, let's see. I think we already have callers, so let's go to the first caller, number 1. You're on the air, sir.
Hello?
Yes.
Stan is his name.
Stan, how are you doing today, my friend?
All right. I wanted to make a comment on why you guys aren't reaching your pledge goals.
Okay, I kind of figure where you're going to go, but let me hear why we're not reaching our pledge goal, my dear friend.
Okay, so before I've even spoken, you've already figured out my phone call?
I just want to see if I can figure that out. So you tell me what the goal is, why we didn't meet it.
Why don't you tell me why I'm calling if you know?
No, I don't. Actually, then I'm so sorry. I don't.
Well, I mean, that's a hell of a way to start off a conversation.
Tell me why we didn't meet our goal, sir.
You guys, man, it's like amateur hour around that radio station. You guys are, for one, how is it the general manager of a radio station has his own talk show? Mm-hmm. How is that? Explain that to me.
Wow.
I don't know any other radio station in the country where the general manager has his own prime time radio talk show.
Wow.
What?
I actually enjoy that. I tell you the truth of the matter is that this is community radio. Everybody has a chance to have their own show. But is there anything else?
Everybody's starting with the general manager.
Right.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Any other comments, sir?
So now you're going to cut me off? Is that
well, I mean, we want to add to the discourse. We're talking about the Democratic debate. Would you like to add to that, sir?
Yeah. You're going to cut me off. Nice. That's exactly why this is not independent radio.
Oh.
This is liberal radio.
Oh, really? I mean, actually, let me just tell this to all our callers. Anybody can be at this station, whether independent, Democrat, Republican, or otherwise. This is real.
Say that doesn't mean it's true, man. This is not community radio. The community does not have a voice on this radio station.
Oh, really? Have you ever attempted to come to the station, sir?
Right now, and before I even started, you already said you knew what I was going to say.
Sir, would you like to have a talk?
Radio?
Okay. I don't get into these type of discussions, so if you want to add to a discussion,
okay.
let's go
you
ahead.
You can't handle the heat. Okay, all right. That's funny to you?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay. Just because you say something doesn't mean it's factual.
Okay,
so
my dear friend, I think
this is community radio is not true. Name me one spot on the...
Okay, thank you very much for the call, sir. I mean, I don't know that you really wanted to get into an actual fact-based debate, so we'll just move on to the other caller. Let's go to the other caller. John, come on in, John.
Hey, Egberto.
How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. You know, the thing with the caller is that, you know, he can't face the facts that Republicans are totally happy with all Rush Limbaugh and all that other stuff. So they don't have an outlet.
Right.
You know, I mean, they already have all these outlets. If he wants to, you know, start his own podcast, you know, if he wants to have a voice, you know, you let him speak, and all he did was complain.
And that's
okay.
John, that's what I was trying to get out of him. He wanted to add some more to the discourse. So I'll be more than happy to have him talk. And you've known me from the other shows that I do elsewhere as well, that I love to entertain a debate or discussions from all over the place, whether they're liberal, conservative, or otherwise. I love to bring in other sides of the debate, but you have to come into a debate where you want to talk. You don't come into a debate predisposed as he did. Now, interesting enough, I do have to say something though. I was wrong in one particular area when I said because I heard the tone with which he came, I made an assumption, and I probably should not have done that. So I do take, you know, a little bit of responsibility for that. But that said, I think I overcame that and gave him the opportunity to speak, and he continued with, you know, the whine instead of speaking. But before I come back to you, John, I just want to say, folks, please do remember this is a public radio. 713-526-5738 is the number. Give us a call, 713-526-5738. We still have lines open, and we have a few ready to go. Make your point, please, John.
Yeah, I just want to say Tuesday was a great night for America. You know, we got to see a real serious party, you know, looking at the future and trying to help people in the future instead of the jokes that were going on, a constant put-down fest, and how, you know, they're just stuck in an unrealistic world. You know, they think that the Iraq war was something that they want to emulate over again. All the horrible cuts that they want to do. You know, America doesn't want that. So it was great to see this vision being shown. For Bernie, it was a great night because so many people got to see him. You mentioned all these different things about how the polls, individual polls, showed that he did well. There was one poll, a Gravis marketing poll, which is done by a right-winger. But, you know, one thing about that is that it showed him closer than ever in any national poll without Biden in there. He was only 8 points behind. And at the same time, you know, people in that poll, people did say that Hillary won by 62, I think, to 33. And so I think that as polls start coming out in the next, you know, few days and the next weeks coming up, you're going to see a drastic increase for Bernie Sanders. And for me, the highlight of the night was when he was talking about Hillary Clinton, and he was talking about Glass-Steagall and breaking up the big bank, because those are two of Clinton's weaknesses, and she looked awful on those issues. She looked like a shill for the big banks, which she is. I'm a little bit, I disagree with you slightly because I really can't believe that she's going to do that. She's going to actually, if she does become president,
John,
I hope she does.
John, let me interrupt you for one reason.
Wrong, but I mean, I just see this more as an act that she's having to do because she knows the base is asking for more. A stronger say in their government.
John,
right now,
with
look, the plutocrats rule. And so it was a great night for Bernie, and I'm looking forward to future polls, seeing how he's going to do well. There was just a poll in Texas where he's only down by 12,
right,
up from 38 the last time a few months ago. And as we start seeing individual state polls in the West where he's really strong, we're going to see more of a contest.
Now, John, I want to stop you for a minute because I'm going to put you on hold, and I'll put John on hold for me, and I'm going to come back to you. But the lines are completely filled up, and I want to start getting to some people. I agree with what you had to say. Now, with regards to Clinton or any other candidate, I want to make one specific point. I do not trust any particular candidate. I trust Americans, and what I mean by that is, if a candidate is able to articulate what I want them to articulate on stage, then I hold it on the American people to make sure they enforce, that we enforce what they've said they promised to do. So it's not about blind faith in Hillary or any one of them. It's just to do that. So let's go to the other person. I think that's Dawn from Spring. Come on in, Dawn from Spring, number one. How are you doing?
Hello.
How are you doing, Dawn?
Great. Love the debate and answering that caller who says KPFT is not good community radio. I'd like to know what is if it's not KPFT. Nothing else in this market.
Dawn, let me tell you something, okay? I know most of the folks who have their programs here on KPFT, and these are people who are right down with the truth. These are people who really believe in community, from the top of this station right down to everybody. So I wasn't taking the caller seriously. I wanted the caller to have his say, however, because that's who we are. We allow everybody to have their say. As far as the debate is concerned, yes, I think it was a good debate. You have anything else to add, Don, or can I move on to the other person?
Well, what I really love about Bernie Sanders is not only is he a progressive, but he's bringing new terminology into our vernacular. People are starting to wake up and realize social democracy is what we want and need.
Well, Dawn,
better.
Don, the important thing is that we have to be able to define it first. And Lawrence O'Donnell did a great job in showing that Denmark, who Hillary Clinton kind of gave a little back slap on, he actually showed where their economic freedom and business freedom is greater in Denmark than it is here in the United States. And we claim to be the bastion of capitalism. What we are really is a bastion of crony capitalism and a few other things. So I think that was made pretty clear. Anything else you want to add, my friend?
That model, the decentralization and having small businesses and cooperatives being the real engines of our society.
Absolutely.
That's the most important thing, because everything will actually trickle to the people that way.
Right. Well, what people fail to realize is that capitalism isn't necessarily free enterprise, or the converse as well. The reality is that free enterprise is what you get in democracies. Capitalism can exist in democracies or communist countries. Look at China, one of the biggest, most prosperous capitalist countries in this world. China. But anyway, thank you very much for calling, Dawn. Please keep listening. Please keep calling. And please do remember to do one thing. Tell your friends about KPFT. Let them know that KPFT exists, because a lot of people don't know that there is an avenue here in town where they can, in fact, get the truth. So thank you very much for calling, Dawn.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful day. Let's go to John on number 4. Number 4, John. How you doing, my friend?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
All right. Talk to me.
Let's go over a couple different things. Well,
yes.
One, the caller that you had a few minutes ago that was rather excitable.
Mm-hmm.
I understand what he's trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you are a left-leaning radio station.
Right.
It is the perception, however, that comes across. And I've talked to Dwayne about this before, and I'll give you a real quick example, and then we'll move on to the debate.
Sure.
At one point during one of your pledge drives, you had your station manager or program director in with Jeff Berg. And you know what those two can be like.
Right.
And when you're dropping words like teabaggers, and that's the program manager, the perception is that you're really not a very open radio station if the program manager is using that type of language. You see what I'm saying? It's a perception issue.
You know what? I like
issue.
the way that you came across, sir, because what you're saying, and let me tell you how I would answer you, right? And I would say that we all have our biases and we all have our proclivities. And what I would tell you is that, okay, you've made that point that, well, given that you're a community radio, some people may want to curtail some of the languages that they use. If that other caller had said something like that, I would say, oh, wow, maybe that is something that we put into the drop bag of suggestions to the station, because after all, what are we? We are a community station, and we do listen to people who talk. But again, you have to come across exactly the way that you did, which was a reasonable person coming across to say things the way it should be said. Get into the point as far as what you're calling for, my dear friend.
Sure. Well, first of all, full disclosure, I'm a conservative, okay? But
Great.
I listen to y'all. I listen to a lot of your programming,
Right.
and you especially.
Thank you.
Because I think we have things to learn from each other,
Absolutely.
even if we don't always agree.
I agree with you.
Now, I will tell you, I watched the debate the other night, and I'll be honest, at this point, I'm not voting for a Democratic candidate, but I have my own perception of how things should be.
Right.
But what I will tell you is, because I'm around a lot of people in political circles and radio circles, especially talk radio, Bernie, don't get me wrong, Bernie is what he is, and I like him for what he is. He is true to his colors.
Absolutely.
And I honestly think y'all are going to end up with Hillary Clinton as the nominee. But let's at least be honest. You may rally behind her, you may vote for her, but she's in bed with the corporate powers as much as any Republican can ever be accused of being.
Let me tell you that you are so right. You see how much we have in common? But let me tell you where my point of view is, and then you can kind of tell me that. And for all the callers that are on right now, I promise I'm getting to each one of you. The lines are full. I want to get each one of you, but I want to make sure that everybody feels like they got their piece in. Now, let me answer what you just had to say. I believe you 100%. However, Hillary's base will allow her to do what we want her to do. And what we want her to do is in not only the interests of liberals, but also in the interests of conservatives and the interests of many, many, many groups. Okay, forget about ideology for now. The policies that she would be able to implement, if we force her to implement those policies, will help the vast majority of American citizens. If we get somebody that is bound by the current, note I said current, by the current conservative ideology, the country remains frozen, because there are a lot of things that need to be done that cannot be done under a conservative ideology by definition. And the country is so far gone, as far as I'm talking about infrastructure that needs to be taken care of, as far as social programs that need to bring people up that have been left behind for such a long time, that if anyone wants to talk about policies, I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat, whoever comes into office has to have what we call progressive policies to actually bring this country back from the brink. Don't you agree?
I can see part of what you're saying, but there are, you and I would have different different opinions on how we get there.
Exactly. And we would work together.
I think that's great to have, to reach a common goal. But I think in the end, if you play politics like a board game, okay, for a minute, and they are, the deck is stacked against any candidate right now.
Right.
And let's be fair, the House is locked up with conservative Republicans or the Republican caucus, whatever you want to say, and that's not going to change for minimum of 8 to 12 years before you could get a change that's going to allow that to happen. But we won't go there. Bernie, I will tell you Bernie's flaw. Where he'll be easy to beat as it gets later. The closer the race draws, he's an angry liberal at times. And he's going to be able to be tricked, or not tricked, but he'll be pushed on camera. He's going to lose his temper. He's going to be unpolitical. He's going to be unpresidential, and that is going to sink him.
John, you know something? That's an actually very good observation, because a part of that actually came out on stage, and I actually mentioned that when it came out on stage during the debate, the Democratic debate, and that was a friendly debate. So, I mean, I see your point, and I think that can be coached in the long run. But look, here's the deal. I'll be honest with you. I have a soft spot personally for Bernie, but I'll tell you something. My goal as a U.S. citizen is to do what is best for this country. Period. Okay, so whatever it is that we have to do, whatever movements we have to do, that's what needs to be done. But look, my phone lines are full, John, and I really love what you had to say. And is there anything that you need to say quickly before we move on to the next caller?
No, I appreciate your show, and I appreciate the voice you give, and I would only say this. I think as you all go forward, the more you can bring both sides of the arguments together in your programming in terms of mutual respect and discussion, I think the more likely you are to bring in a different or additional listenership willing to give up money than you've had in the past.
Well, I thank you for that advice, and I think if you listen to my you say you listen to my show, you notice that I don't discount who I am, a left-winger, but I always love to bring in the other side. And not only that, the fact of the matter is, because of where I live, most of my friends are on the other side. So you know how that goes.
Yes, sir.
Look, thank you very much for calling, sir. You have a great day, okay?
You too, Egberto. Bye-bye.
Great. Let's go to Michael.
There's two.
Number 3. Thank you.
How are you today?
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me on your show today. I love the subject matter. I did want to make a few little comments. I watched the Democratic debate the other night.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple of observations.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard about Bernie Sanders mostly from KPFT very early in the morning with Arnie's aunts.
Right.
I listened to that little program, so I wasn't totally unfamiliar with his name.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know a lot about him, but after watching him for 2.5 hours, I have to say I liked a lot of the things he said.
Mm-hmm.
Very progressive thinker. He reminded me, and don't take this the wrong way, but he reminded me of kind of a Democratic version of Donald Trump, who says what he wants to, but it actually had substance behind it, whereas Donald Trump says nothing.
I'm glad you qualified that, sir.
Okay, I mean, in a sense, I thought that was very refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
And if he is a socialist, I have to tell you, I haven't known it, but I've actually been a socialist all my life because I think like that too. I don't know if that disqualifies me for anything, but very impressed with what he says. I don't really feel that he has honest electability.
Right.
I don't think it's because of his policies or for what he says. I think it's more for his age.
I hear you. I've heard that.
I think a lot of people are going to be very cautious about putting someone of that age in a very stressful office and trying to get something done.
Right.
I love the way he thinks about Wall Street. The richest 1% controlling 90+% of the wealth in this country is absolutely true, and this is a travesty. And when he talks about the assault on the middle class of this country, every American should stand up and take notice for what this man just said, because it's absolutely 100% true. People in this country have been under attack, mostly from the GOP in this country, and it's all because they're greedy.
Michael, I want to break you there. I mean, you're correct, and I think you've made that sentiment like the correct sentiment. I just want to add one thing to what you're saying here, okay?
Sure.
Because a lot of times what we're doing is we're complaining about what has occurred and what is occurring. One of the major parts of my show is to say, okay, this is what is occurring. Now, what are we going to do about it? And
that's an outstanding question, because number one, what we need to do, the people need to do, is to pull their heads out of their backsides, because we have become very complacent, and we take things for granted. And we need to stand up as a society and truly listen to what these issues are, what the ideas are. When I listened to that Democratic debate, I may not have agreed with what was said by every candidate, but I found something from every candidate that I liked. And Hillary Clinton needs to understand that she may be the most electable candidate right now for the Democratic Party, but there was a tremendous brain trust. I like to think of it as the abundance mentality.
Right.
And she needs to listen to a lot of the ideas that these other people had.
Now,
because some of them were pretty good.
Michael, there were great ideas, and we are going to have to go to a traffic report, I think.
Sure, go ahead.
But here's the deal. I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to tell you something. We need a lot from you and everybody that's listening here, because the new media is you. And I'll talk a little bit about that at the end of my little talk here, but you guys are the ones that are going to make a difference. So anyhow, I'll go ahead and go on to traffic. Thank you very much for calling, Michael.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
Why, thank you, Egberto. Okay, it's a beautiful sunny day out there today. No chance of rain in sight for the next few days, but mainly clear skies tonight with a low of 63 degrees. It is currently a bright sunny day tomorrow. It should be a bright sunny day tomorrow and a high near 94 degrees. It is currently 91 here in the heart of Montrose, and clear skies, and it feels like 88 out there. There's a few situations, stop and go traffic areas around town, but first off, I want to start with On 59, there's construction on 59 Southwest Freeway inbound at 288 all the way to 45 Gulf Freeway, and that has 2 main lanes closed. So that already, very, very congested area has more of a reason to be congested. It's so stop and go traffic from Westland all the way to 45, and a bit of slow going on 288 from about Holcomb to 59 Southwest Freeway. And of course from the North Loop all the way, starting in the West Loop to the North Loop from around Forness all the way to Irvington, it is slow going, so give yourself extra time around those parts. And on I-10, Katy Freeway inbound from Shepherd to 45 North Freeway, actually all the way to San Jacinto, it is stop and go traffic, so give yourself extra time there as well. Back to you, Egberto, in the studio.
Thank you very much. Let's go to, I think the next person is going to be Curtis on 6. Curtis, come on in. How you doing?
Hi, Umberto. I'm doing fine. I agree with a lot of your callers today, including the first one, although he couldn't hold it on very well.
Well, you know what? I'm going to take a little bit of responsibility for saying I did.
No, don't take it on yourself.
Okay.
It's all right.
Go ahead.
He could have handled it. He just didn't want to. But what inspired me to call was when you in your enthusiasm in your blog post, you said that Hillary was leaning toward democratic socialism.
Right.
And we're not going to elect any Democrat in this country who even sniffs generally like a democratic socialist.
Right.
Bernie Sanders is not going to get elected. He can't, because the Republicans will do a number on him. They've got the money. They've got the PR people. They've got the ad space to buy. So they will do a trash job on him, and he won't be able to explain to Americans what kind of person he is or what he believes in. And really, if you go to the dictionary and you look up socialism, I don't think most people really agree with what the dictionary definition
the dictionary definition is an outdated definition, really, which says state control of the sources of production, which isn't true.
Yes, that's what it says.
Right, yeah.
But you can't outdate political terminology, Umberto, because everybody has to be using words that everybody agrees to the definition.
And you know what? I'll tell you something, Curtis. You are absolutely right. And I'll be honest with you. I hate to tell you that you're right on the terminology issue, because you and I both know that socialism isn't a bad word. Unfortunately, you are right that it will have to be modified unless within now and election day people really understand what it really means. And
ain't going to get there.
Right. I hear you.
Nobody's listening right now, even though there were 15 million people tuned into that. That's not going to be enough.
Exactly.
There's no way that we're going to make those modifications.
That is a pragmatic, necessary statement that you just gave there, my friend.
Yeah. Well, we're the best we could do, I'm afraid. I like a lot of what Bernie says, and I like his gruffness and his anger. I think we need some of that. But I'm for Bernie because it's pulling Hillary
to the left,
more to the left,
right?
And that's fine with me. And I'll be for Bernie right up until we nominate Hillary for election. And I think that's the way it ought to go.
Yeah, let me put you on. Ask you to hold a second, Curtis. Folks, the lines have become open now. So 713-526-5738 is the number. Again, 713-526-5738. Let me go back to Curtis again. Curtis, yeah.
I hope I didn't scare him away.
Oh, no. What I meant is we still have a couple callers, but I mean, I know a lot of people were calling before and they couldn't get in because the lines were busy. All of them were lit up. So
I don't think Bernie won the debate, and I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think there were any winners.
Okay.
If you didn't lose, you were the winner.
Right.
And there were 3 losers up there.
And I could name them.
and two people who did not lose. And that doesn't mean they won.
Right.
Because for Bernie to win, Hillary would have had to lose.
Right.
And you may say, Bernie's been nominated as the clear winner by social media. But the fact is that Hillary didn't lose. Hillary, at least, because she didn't lose.
Any question?
That means Bernie can't win.
Right.
Bernie can only win the debate if Hillary loses. And this debate, Hillary did not lose, so he did not win.
I hear,
Now,
and that's...
I'm not going to proclaim either one of them winner.
Right.
They both tied because they didn't lose.
You know, that is sound logic. My contention why I brought up about the media, not the media, but the online media and other sources, the focus groups, etc., had Bernie as a winner. The reason I brought that up is because if you looked at the mainstream media, the way they handled Hillary right after the debate, it was almost like a cheerleading section from Fox News right down to MSNBC. As far as she won the debate, and she not only won the debate, but she won it running away. And it was in such unison that it was dangerous, because what it actually showed is that, in effect, whoever, I don't remember the caller who called in and said, we all know that Hillary has been in bed with the with Wall Street and the corporatocracy for a long time. It was almost like the corporatocracy saying, okay, we can hang on to this because, you know what? After all, we do want her, because it seems like the clown card isn't going to produce anybody. Folks, do remember 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. We have open lines that you'll get in shortly after the second caller. Anyway, anything else you want to add, Curtis?
Thank you for letting me call.
Absolutely. You have a wonderful day, my friend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, Jason, line 1.
Hey, Egberto. How's it going?
All right. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing good. I'm a first-time caller, and I would like to thank you for having me on the show.
Well, thank you for calling, and thank you for listening. And other than me thanking you for calling and listening, I'd like to ask you to make sure to let other folks know that there is a KPFT out here that's presenting this kind of information. What can I do for you, or what would you like to add to the discourse, my friend?
Well, I would just like to say, first off, to the first caller, I believe his name was Stan, if he's still listening, he needs to stop drinking before happy hour starts. But other than that, I wanted to talk about the debate on Tuesday night. I enjoyed it. It was very well put together, very well talked out. The questions were great. I do think Bernie Sanders won the debate. After watching CNN, of course, they had all the polls, everything from the focus groups to Google to Facebook to Twitter. Everybody said that Bernie Sanders won, but then when I woke up the next morning, CNN says that Hillary won, and I was a little upset about that.
Right.
So, obviously, the mainstream media is going to try to keep Bernie on the back burner, of course, because they are afraid of him getting elected.
Right. Now, Curtis said something that we all should heed, right? Curtis made and I'm a pragmatist as well. I'm not an ideologue or anything of that sort. And what Curtis said, the caller beforehand, is very, very true. We know how effective a machine the right wing can be. And if the right wing is effective in making people go to the dictionary and define socialism in the way it is defined in the dictionary, as opposed to democratic socialism as we have in Denmark, where businesses actually are much freer than they are in the United States, then that becomes a problem. And, those are realities we have to look at. So, I mean, when we're talking to, I don't know how many Bernie fanatics you've been around, but I write a lot of blogs, and if I write a blog and I say anything that is out of line with Bernie, I can guarantee you that post will go viral, not for any good reason. It'll go viral because there are enough people that want to have knives in my back for going against the young man. But I mean, I can take it. But anyhow, we have.
Well, you say young man, and the caller before Curtis was saying he's not going to get elected because of his age.
Right.
I personally think age equals experience. I don't think we should discriminate against him because he is 73 or 74 years old.
Well, I don't either. The problem is that, like Kurt, in going back to what Curtis has to say, and one of the reasons I love listening to all sides, all people, et cetera, is because you get a chance to see things through other people's eyes. And, whereas a lot of folks may say they see all that is good about Bernie, it is always good, or about Hillary or whomever, it is always good to see what isn't, what other people see that isn't. And the reason why is because then that can be mitigated. Until you have to be able to mitigate these particular issues, and you don't know what needs to be mitigated unless you open your eyes to all points of view.
Yes. And I also wanted to add that you mentioned about how many people watched the Democratic debate.
Yes.
Which was approximately 15 million, and then compared it to the Republican debate, there was 25 million.
Right.
Didn't even come close. I feel that the Republican debates got both sides or both parties to watch, Democrats and
you are you are a genius, sir. Let me tell you something. I am so glad you brought that up, okay? Because there was, while I was writing the blog, that came into mind, but the reason I didn't write that down is I had no evidence to prove that. But I'm glad that somebody else saw the same thing that I saw, in that they got two audiences. They got the audience, the Republicans got the audiences that said, let me see what those guys are going to be talking about. And then they got their own, which is going to be a very dedicated audience. That is a very smart observation.
Yes, and I noticed that in the focus groups right after the Republican debates, when they were asking them, which candidate did you favor, or which candidate did you think did the best?
Right.
And one of the people in that focus group said, it doesn't matter, we need to stick together and vote another Republican into office regardless of who it is. And that just blew my mind.
Wow.
Thinking that they are just going to vote for somebody. Who cares? It's going to be Ted Cruz or Ben Carson or Carly Fiorina. Let's just get them into office. We need to stick together as Republicans and vote for that Republican, regardless of his policies, regardless of what he does. Give more tax breaks to the rich, make the poor poorer, whatever.
Now, let me tell
get
you.
him into office, and let's take this victory home.
Jason, it's also important to note that a lot of people who consume that particular thing consumed it the day after through blog clips or whatever. So that live audience is one thing, but the amount of people that I as an example, I wrote 3 different blog posts on the debate, and each one of those posts got over 100,000 hits. So that tells you something. So anyhow, anything else you want to add, Jason, before we go?
No, that's pretty much it.
Well, thank you very much for calling in, Jason. Please do remember, continue listening to Politics Done Right on the other offerings we have here at KPFT, and don't forget to let other people know we exist. Thank you very much for calling. Okay, let's go to
John.
John, come on in, John. Oops, I think we missed John.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, how you doing, John? Anything else you want to add before I go to William?
Yeah, I want to add, for all the people who don't think Bernie can win, I just want to let you know that since 1992, a Democrat running for president has won 242 votes in 18 different states in every election. Now, to win the presidency, you need to win 270 votes.
Yeah.
So in 18 states and in the District of Columbia, they've won all those. If Bernie Sanders is the nominee, there is a very, very strong possibility that he will win all of these states, just like this happened since 1992.
John, there's one thing that I want to put, and again, I want us to be serious about listening to some of the stuff that Curtis said, and that is, neither one of us, of course, know what the reality is going to look like when let's say, an onslaught comes on and how people are going to really react to when the misinformation starts flowing. We really don't know that. So, like I was talking before, these are things that anybody who supports him must start looking into how mitigation works.
Can I ask you this?
Yes.
How many, if Trump's the nominee and we start running, hundreds of ads of him being a birther, you don't think that's going to affect him?
Absolutely.
Trump's only up by 2 points.
No, you're right.
In Texas. You know, when they start talking about Ben Carson and he's talking about how people should have had the gun
right.
and to have the Holocaust, when they start talking about Rubio and they start saying no abortion exceptions,
I don't dispute that, John,
for rape and incest.
Right, I don't dispute that. I don't dispute that.
All of these people are weak on the Republican side.
Right.
There's not a strong candidate on the Republican side at all. They're all terrible. Bush won't even get to this. I mean, so, I understand people's, are concerned about Bernie, but there is a movement.
Let me stop you there.
In the country.
I need to stop you there. I need to stop you there and say one thing. You just said the magical word, okay? You said the magical word. Just that word, movement. It will, to get Bernie elected, it will require a movement. Bernie says it himself. It will require a movement. And a movement doesn't occur from the current people that are massively in support of him. It depends on the expansion and the education of other people. So what I try to tell folks, and I tell you and others that as well, is that what one has to do is all folk who really want this guy, they better get involved in the body politic, and they better be out there being mouthpieces, because that is how you win. I got to put you on hold again to get William. Put John on hold and let me get to William. William, you're on the air.
I'm here.
Come on, William.
Yeah, I was listening to Charlie Rose today.
Yes, sir.
And it was a from the night before.
Mm-hmm.
And he was interviewing this guy that's doing a 2-part biography on Kissinger.
Mm-hmm.
And never asked him a question about, half the nations in the world want to prosecute him as a war criminal for what happened in Chile, all through South America and Central America,
right,
which is basically what has caused the mess that it has now.
Right.
And then I did clip that article that was in the Chronicle. You guys were in pledge drive about that guy that was the representative of, the head of the House.
Oh yeah, McCarthy. No, I mean McCarthy, who dropped out.
No. The guy that's under indictment.
Oh, Hastert.
Yeah, Hastert.
Right.
And the article was written in a totally convoluted way, like, we should really just kind of feel sorry for this guy. You know what I mean? When you know what he was doing, right?
Oh yeah, boys, yeah.
Well, besides that, I meant, how he was paying them.
Yes, I know. He took $3 million and paid them in groups of 10,000.
$99, and he did it for 10 years.
Right.
Now, how many other people know all about what this was all about?
Well, that is the reason why you have to have independent media, because Hastert has gotten a pass.
I mean, the whole thing of it is that everybody. Okay, there's one other point I want to make to you after I say this. Everybody that, when it comes to getting a pass, it's always about the stuff that I'm trying to report.
Right.
And see what it is? He was on videotape.
Yes.
And these people that he was trying to, that got messed over, they were powerful enough to get the videotape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's connected to the Franklin cover-up.
Right.
But because the guy who wrote the book didn't really. Didn't take it a step forward to say, they were probably videotaping them little kids. They were, firing in on all these, Republican wannabes.
Right.
They were partying.
Right. Anything else you want to add to with respect to the debate?
I saw an advertisement about 2 weeks ago. I haven't seen it again or read about it in the papers, but Robert Redford has made a movie. I don't know if he's in the movie, but I'm pretty sure it has something to do with the direction and the production of it. It's called Truth, and it's about the 2 years and what happened to that journalist. I keep forgetting his name.
You're talking about the journalist in California. I know what you mean.
They tried to put it on 60 Minutes, and they fired him.
Right.
Same stuff.
Right. I mean, sir, we talk about the state of our journalism here a whole lot, and I understand where you're coming from. Anything else you want to add about the debate before we move on?
Do you know anything about this movie being squashed or what?
No, I don't.
They got about the only person with enough power to pull it off would be Robert Redford.
Right. Hey, William, I got to go, but I appreciate your call. Keep listening. Keep telling folks.
It's a good subject for people to know on later.
Well, let me tell you, look here, remember, go onto our website and put that information on our Facebook page, okay?
I don't even know how to type. I don't have a computer. I don't have a cell phone.
Okay.
And I have extreme I mean, there's 250 million people that type better than I do.
No problem. You have a good one.
So I try to get people involved with me on a collaboration, and that's all. I keep trying.
Thank you, buddy.
I think that's all I can do.
You have a great day, my friend. Keep calling, okay?
Bye.
Have a good one. Okay. Back to John before I give my little closeout. John, you want to add anything to close, and then before I give my little closeout here?
No, I just also wanted to say that, if you look at the individual polling, Hillary is, I'll just say this. I will vote for Hillary if she's the nominee. And, like I said before, she's only down 2 points in the latest poll to Trump. So I hope Trump is the nominee because, he's doing the worst out of any polling out of anybody for the Republican Party. He's a real contender. But the point is that, don't give up. If you really believe in Bernie, don't say, oh, he can't win. Vote your conscience, and he's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger poll numbers. It's just happening over, it's happening, and more people know him. Look at the states where he's doing the best, New Hampshire and Iowa. He's doing so well because people know him well. As the campaign goes on, more people are going to know him. And that's why everybody's so concerned about the only 6 debates.
You know what's
and
interesting?
As more people know him, they're going to love him.
Let me tell you something.
They want change. They know that corporate America is dominating, and we want real change. And that's why we should vote for Bernie Sanders.
Now, John, let me tell you something. This is very, very interesting because I went on a bus trip for the Journey for Social Justice. The NAACP had it, and I went out to D.C. And interesting enough, it was a whole, I was sort of like the chaperone with a whole lot of young college students on the bus. And what I found amazing was every single person in that bus knew about Bernie Sanders. And I was shocked, I'll be honest with you. I was shocked because, again, these folks, I didn't expect that they would be so passionate for this particular guy. And they actually were. And they actually, I did some video with them, and they actually kind of said what they believed and all that sort of thing. So, I mean, what you're saying is true. Now, what I am saying, and I think everybody has to say, for those people who support Bernie, you have a lot of work to do. I mean, it's that simple, and you can't isolate that from that reality from folk. They have to understand if this is a particular candidate that you like, you do have a lot of work to do. For whatever candidate you like, you have a whole lot of work to do. I got to wrap it up with you, John. Look, thank you for calling. Keep calling in and keep listening. Okay, my friend?
All right. Sounds good. Good show.
Thank you, sir. Now, folks, do remember, and before I close out, I want to tell you guys something that is important. Do remember that the body politic is you. Do remember that the news media is you. You can no longer depend ever on what you see on TV anymore. Go and get the information yourself. By the way, remember to visit politicsdoneright.com. This is Egberto Willies, and I'm checking out Politics Done Right right now.
Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.